Think about how much better for our community it would be if more people used public transportation. There would be less congestion, less carbon emissions, faster and more hassle-free commutes. Want to know why more people here in Jacksonville don't use public transportation? Well, one of the top reasons is the lack of bus shelters, a fact that's never more relevant than during these hot, wet summer months. On average, it rains in Jacksonville once every 3 days. During the summer, we get drenched with over 6.5 inches of the wet stuff each month. Then there's the heat. For several months a year, Northeast Florida is punished by the sun, with temperatures often hitting the mid-90s for days or weeks at a time. No problem if you're sitting in an air-conditioned home, office, or car, or relaxing at the beach. But the harsh reality for thousands of Jacksonville residents is they must stand outside in that hot, rainy weather, waiting to catch a bus to work, to school, or maybe just to buy their groceries.
There was a lady that was on Edgewood Avenue in front of Paxson Shopping Center holding a bag of groceries in the rain with an umbrella in one hand. There was a gentleman who was sitting down on the sidewalk because there was a shade there and the bench was over here, but it was so hot he sat in the shade on the ground.
In these extreme conditions, bus shelters cannot be considered a luxury.
We have thousands of people that have pleaded with us in all of the public meetings that we've held. Please put some bus shelters out there, covered bus shelters, not benches, but covered bus shelters. And that's what we're trying to respond to.
Currently, Jacksonville has around 400 bus shelters. That's shelters for about 6% of the 6,600 bus stops throughout the city's 840 square miles. But there is hope. With the approval of Ordinance 2009-401, the citizens of Jacksonville could see as many as 750 new bus shelters over the next 15 years, all with absolutely no cost to the taxpayers of Duval County. That's right, 50 brand new shelters every year for 15 years. 750 new shelters. And consider this, in most cases the new breed of bus shelters come equipped with solar lighting. More light at the shelters offer patrons an increased level of safety and security, and again with no additional cost to taxpayers. Need more proof this is the right thing to do? 15% of current JTA ridership is over the age of 60, and that percentage is growing. Would you want your mother, your grandmother, or aunt to stand out in the heat and stormy weather without a shelter for protection? Of course not. This is how the bus shelter advertising program would work. After the approval of Ordinance 2009-401, JTA would send out requests for proposals for shelter bids. The winning company would then build, install, and maintain the agreed-upon number of shelters each year. To pay for the shelters, the company would sell advertising similar to these shelter ads found in nearly every major city in the country. The advertising content would comply with existing JTA bus advertising policy and would not feature any alcohol or tobacco ads. As with political content or anything deemed controversial by the JTA Board of Directors would also not be permitted. These public-private partnerships are nothing new. Cities all over the nation use private dollars from stadium or arena naming rights, for example, to finance any number of government projects. Remember this name? In these uncertain economic times, governments must find more and more creative ways to balance their budgets. Selling advertising on bus shelters is a perfect example of meeting the needs of the citizens without burdening the taxpayers with even more taxes or fees.
Put as many advertisements as you need. All right, we need the shelters. All right, majority of the shelters, bus stops around don't have shelters. All right, and for the elements, like especially today with the heat the way it is, I fear for the children and the elderly.
I don't mind at all. I don't mind. The shelters are better for us when it's hot because it's cooler. I mean, you can't be hot. You can't be burning up trying to catch the bus. So, of course, we need the shelters in order to stay cool out here.
It'd be fine with me. Advertisement doesn't make any difference. The shelter keeps us out of the rain, keeps us in the shade. Instead of having to stand out in the heat every day like it is today, a lot of the stops are just, on the side of the road with no bench or anything, and the shelters would help out tremendously.
We don't have to pay for it, for one thing, and it's protecting us from in case there's rain or anything anything like that. Actually, we really need it, especially people that ride it all the time. You never know what the weather's going to be like. So if I don't have to pay for it, that works for me.
So on behalf of the tens of thousands of Jacksonville residents who use JTA buses to take more than 10 million passenger trips each year, we encourage the City Council to approve Ordinance 2009-401 and give Jacksonville shelter from the storm.